Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. We're excited to bring you this video today at Technistic, as we'll be discussing a topic that has been making headlines recently, the possibility of Apple releasing a USB-C iPhone. If you've been keeping up with tech news, you've probably seen articles claiming that Apple has confirmed this new development. But is it really true? In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the facts and explore the evidence for and against the release of a USB-C iPhone. To understand this topic, it's important to first understand the background information. It all started when the European Union passed legislation requiring all phones and gadgets sold in the EU to have a USB-C port. This legislation aims to standardize one port across all devices, including iPhones, which currently do not have USB-C ports. This news alone was enough to spark speculation about the possibility of Apple releasing a USB-C iPhone. Recently, during an interview with Apple executives Craig Federighi and Greg Joswiak, Wall Street Journal's Joanna Stern asked about this legislation and how Apple plans to comply. Joss gave a long-winded answer about how the government shouldn't be making these types of rules and how it could potentially create e-waste, but ultimately ended with the statement, "We don't want to, but we'll comply." And with that, the headlines were born. Apple confirms the iPhone is getting USB-C. Apple says iPhones will finally get USB-C ports. Apple confirms iPhones will get USB Type-C charging. To mention but a few such headlines making waves in the media. But is it really as simple as that? In this video, we'll be examining the evidence for and against the release of a USB-C iPhone. We'll look at Apple's history with charging ports, their patents and income-generating opportunities, and the exact language of the legislation. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of the truth behind the headlines and be able to form your own opinion on the possibility of a USB-C iPhone. Before we dive in, subscribe to our channel to join the community and stay informed of tech tips and update videos we publish daily. So, without further ado, let's dive in. First off, a majority of the circulating statement was then taken out of context and used in headlines claiming that Apple has confirmed that the iPhone will be getting a USB-C port. But if you read the exact language of the legislation, it states that for devices like smartphones that are capable of being charged via wired charging, they must have a USB-C port and be able to be charged with a USB-C cable by the end of 2024. This doesn't necessarily mean that Apple will be releasing a USB-C iPhone, but rather that they will have to comply with the legislation if they want to continue selling iPhones in the EU. It's important to remember that Apple is a very media-trained company and their executives are careful with their words. They never specifically said that they would be releasing a USB-C iPhone, but rather that they will comply with the legislation. Apple has a history of switching up its charging ports with each new iPhone release. They made the switch from the 30-pin port to the Lightning port on the iPhone 5, which was considered an innovation at the time. The smaller port allowed for more power and data transfer and opened up more space inside the phone. While there was initially some frustration about having to purchase new charging cables, the Lightning port was eventually widely accepted and Apple even implemented their Made for iPhone (MFI) program, which allows them to receive a cut of every certified Lightning accessory sold. It's clear that Apple values their charging port patents and the income they generate from them. So, it's possible that they may look for ways to comply with the legislation without actually releasing a USB-C iPhone. It's also important to note that the legislation doesn't go into effect until 2024, so we still have a few years before we see any changes. Thank you for sticking with us throughout this video as we explore the possibility of Apple releasing a USB-C iPhone. We hope that by now, you have a clear understanding of the facts and can see that the headlines claiming that Apple has confirmed a USB-C iPhone are not entirely accurate. To recap, the European Union passed legislation requiring phones sold in the EU to have a USB-C port, but this doesn't necessarily mean that Apple will be releasing a USB-C iPhone. While Apple has stated that they will comply with the legislation, it's possible that they may find a way to do so without changing the charging port on their iPhones. After all, Apple has a history of valuing their charging port patents and the income they generate from them. It's also important to remember that this legislation doesn't go into effect until 2024, so we still have a few years before we see any changes. In the meantime, it's important to take headlines claiming that Apple has confirmed a USB-C iPhone with a grain of salt and to do your own research to understand the facts. We hope that this video has provided you with some valuable information and helped you to form your own opinion on the possibility of a USB-C iPhone. Thank you for watching this video and for joining us on Technistic today. We hope you found the information we provided to be valuable and that it helped you to understand the facts about the possibility of Apple releasing a USB-C iPhone. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to our channel. We'll be bringing you more informative and engaging content in the future, so be sure to stay tuned. We would love to hear from you, so please leave a comment with your thoughts on this topic or any other ideas for future videos you'd like to see. Your feedback and engagement help us to create content that is relevant and valuable to our viewers. We look forward to connecting with you on our channel. See you soon on the next video.